First of all, I thank you all for all this time and attention. For those of us who come from the Chamber of Deputies, this is something else. So, well, thank you very much. I'm going to go in order. I'm going to start with Senator Soria, the senator from Tucumán. I think my colleagues have already answered a bit. Then Senator Moises, then Candido Lopez, and then I'll finish with Anabel Sagasti. Okay. Senator. We have an immense legislative agenda. Today I came to talk about these projects that concern us here. I'm going to talk about this. I'm not going to talk about the other projects that I told you are vast, and there are many. And the other thing I want to remind you is that you are the ones who have civil servants in prison. That's point number 1. Hey, Senator Moises, I'm very sorry that my tweet today about infrastructure offended you. If you read it carefully, you saw that I said that when Javier Milei's first term ends, this is going to be the situation, because obviously there will be a second, but I think that there may be a bit of an excessive enthusiasm. Here I am getting a little off script on the issues because of the enthusiasm for the project, which we have already launched, the tender for 9,000 routes, 9,000 kilometers of roads. You know that a few weeks ago we announced that there is a second phase of 12,000 kilometers that will be about the road network, the expansion and maintenance of the road network. At the end of the month we are going to be putting the Belgrano Cargas tender out. I think it will completely reconfigure, let's say, the freight structure, at least for half of the country, towards the north. What I was referring to in terms of trucks was the by trains, which reduces logistics costs by 40%, we have already done that. Okay, well, there are other things that we will be discussing in this area during the year that have to do with logistics. Well, maybe it was an excessive enthusiasm to see the things that are happening, but believe me that by the end of the first term, we are going to have quite a significant change. Regarding Senator Candido Lopez, 2 comments. The first, I think you already want me to give you the answer, but I think you already knew what the former Malvinas inconveniences are asking you, because it is the discussion about border areas. In our interpretation, with the change that we are making, we are not changing the border area regime. Tierra del Fuego is entirely in a border area, which means that any acquisition of rural properties in Tierra del Fuego requires prior authorization, which is the same case with emissions, which are entirely in a border area. I was mentioning half of the province of Formosa, etc. I commented that I think it is not good for Tierra del Fuego due to the productive issue, that 100% of the surface of Tierra del Fuego is under that regime. I think it would be great if you discuss it. Well, you will have your position in that discussion if you bring it up for discussion. I imagine that given your positioning you will say, no, I want Tierra del Fuego to remain with that regime, which I think is 100% valid, but I think it is a debate worth having, right? In the case of Misiones Entre Rios y Corrientes, it is very interesting because when you look at the border area of Corrientes and Entre Rios, it is a 10 to 15 kilometers strip of the Uruguay River, and then when you go to Misiones it is the entire province. So, well, it seems to me that there is a debate to be had there, but I think you are going to have it. In this case, we are not doing it, and I repeat, the answer that you can give to the people who ask you the question is that today in Tierra del Fuego you cannot buy without prior authorization because it is in a border area. What I do tell you is that we as liberals put the focus on the individual. An individual, regardless of their religion, the country they are from, the ethnicity they are from, the race they are from. To ascribe certain properties to a collective, is not the way we see things. And it seems to me that it is a terrible way of seeing things, that an individual who is a free, different individual does not have to take responsibility for an abstraction or a generality or what his country, his religion, his ethnicity or whatever has done at some point. So, it seems to me that this is philosophically quite a profound issue on which, we disagree. Well, Anabel Fernandez Agasti, it is not true, I am not a constitutionalist. It is true that I am not a lawyer, but I do know how to read. So, I imagine that when the Constitution says something, the Constitution can say it with more or less precision. And if it says it with less precision, perhaps, as you say, it gives rise to a certain interpretation. When it says it with more precision, I think it does not give rise to much debate. So let's go back to Article 20, if you allow me, and it says, foreigners enjoy the territory, and I say, You may not agree with the Constitution, but foreigners enjoy all the civil rights of citizens in the territory of the nation. They can exercise their industry, commerce, and profession. Own real estate, buy it, and dispose of it. I mean, I don't know what interpretation you gave. I heard it without interrupting you, right? I mean, you said that there was an interpretation that rights are not absolute and that they are subject to interpretation. I say here, I read this, and this more concrete and more definitive, in my opinion, cannot be. I think that is what is called, I don't know, textualism, I think, in constitutional law. And even if we were to take it in what I think is called originalism, which is to think about what the people who wrote this constitution thought, I have no doubt that they designed this constitution so that foreigners could come and buy land in Argentina, because that is what they were encouraging, that they come. So, the truth is that it seems to me that they're, doctor, freely to buy. So, that is the first point. The second point is the issue of sovereignty. We, sovereignty, national risk, etc. We make a distinction. We believe that individuals are not a risk. Individuals who come to invest, who buy to invest, to produce, to plant, to increase the production of their land, that is not a risk to sovereignty. If there is a risk, one can disagree, I have no problem, one can disagree, I mean, our vision, if there is a risk, it is state participation. And so what we do, we draw that dividing line, private investment, productive investment, those who come with their assets to invest in Argentina, we do not see that as a risk. Perhaps you see it as a risk. We do not see it as a risk. Senator, I did not interrupt you. Now, if a state comes, you were talking about geopolitics. What is the geopolitical vision? From a geopolitical perspective, if a state makes a commitment in Argentina, we are more rigorous and demanding in this law than in the original law, because in the original law, 1,000 hectares could be purchased without prior authorization. Here, we are not allowing that. Instead, if the state participates in any percentage of whoever is buying the land, then there must be prior authorization. So, this is a geopolitical perspective, but it is organized in a way that we believe there is a geopolitical risk. You may agree or disagree, but I agree with the way we see it. Does this provide a response to the citizen? Of course it does provide a response to the citizen. Is it for some reason that Argentina is one of the countries that has grown the least in recent decades? You do not know that since 2011, the economy has been completely stagnant. We are only now reaching a peak that we have never reached before. Do you think that is why this happened? The $10 billion of investments that the Undersecretary of Agricultural Production was talking about. Do you think that these are not salaries, that these are not employment, that these are not production? Production of workers in these activities, in the pulp and paper industries, in ports, in transportation, in logistics, in services. So, it seems to me that we are doing this because we need that response. We need people to come and invest in Argentina to improve salaries and have zero growth. I will finish with the last topic, which was discussed by Secretary Farinha, that the articles that we changed in the fire law have nothing to do with the environment. I think this is confusing because the environmental aspect of the fire law is in Article 22 and it states that, as agreed, anyone who causes damage that generates liability must repair the environmental damage. So the articles that we are addressing are those that affect or harm the property rights of those who have suffered a fire. Then I think you should simply review it later and you will see. I think you will agree with this that there is a distinction there. Now, I will tell you one thing. You are very concerned about fire, but when we arrived in December 2023 and we had, I don't know if you remember, some fires in Chubut, we went to look for money in the fire trust fund to be able to do the remediation that we had to do and there was not a peso in the trust fund. Everything had been spent on Telem. That was during your government. They had left it absolutely empty, without any resources. So, it seems to me that you should simply take charge a little more than you did. I'll finish, Senator. I'll finish. I'll finish by saying that private property is the basis, it is the basis of economic growth. We have to respect the right to private property, something that Argentina has never managed to do in recent years. That's why we don't have the investments that the people deserve so that Argentina can grow and get out of this poverty trap that Kirchnerism has plunged us into for so many years. Thank you very much. No, he didn't answer me.